Susan Storm Richards. She's the third chapter of the Fantastic Four story. Susan is the glue and the soul of the Fantastic Four. She's not always been like that too. Like in the beginning, she was the one to be saved. She wasn't like, it's the 60s and this like, the Fantastic Four reflected the values of the time, so she was the weaker character, and that fortunately changed, and she's a very strong character today. And so we wanted to do something for her that was a bit more mature. Well, the Thing, which is the first character we revealed, and the Human Torch was the second, they kind of like the kids of the family. And in the first two motion comics, we showed a little bit of the psychology of the other characters. The Thing was going to eat a sandwich. That's all he cared about, is to eat his favorite meatball sub. And the Human Torch, when he was kidnapped, he was in a hot date, and they like the kids. But Susan, we show a little bit of a different kind of dynamic. She was like super busy, and then when she finally has some time for herself, that she sits on the sofa and, I have like a couple hours for myself, then she gets kidnapped by the Collector. But when she arrives in the Battlerealm, she arrives in Atlantis, and Namor is there. She doesn't know if Reed is dead, and then she spends a few years in there collaborating and living with Namor. And that's what we wanted to explore in the story, is this more adult side of, what does that mean, of being a mother and then married to like this superhero scientist, and at the same time have this like a complicated relationship with this very interesting character called Namor the Submariner. There was a big discussion about having him in a Speedo or not. I love the Speedo Namor. Trust me, I come from Brazil. But we decided to give him a little bit of an armor. I think that some of the latest versions of Namor are actually pretty cool with the organic armor that he wears. Of course, he has the little wings on his feet, classic. But the major challenge for us with Namor was create water. We had done fire, we've done all kinds of energy, cosmic energy, and all different things. But for water, we never had tried before. The effects artist created a really cool water effect. And Namor, when he fights, there's always water around because he's using the trident of Neptune, so he can like twist water. And in his special tree, he actually goes into water and takes you with it. So I think he's one of the best looking characters we had. And the water is part of his arsenal for sure.
Namor is a mutant champion, which means he has class advantages against skill champions. And skill champions have something that's built into a lot of their kits where they shrug off debuffs. Namor will apply debuffs to the opponent, and every time he fails to apply one or the debuff is purified by the opponent, generate something called Outrage. And once you get to 15 stacks of Outrage, you can activate Imperius Rex. And when you activate Imperius Rex, you instantly charge a bunch of power, letting you quickly get up to like a special 3, trigger your special 3, then you can trigger special 2s and special 1s. You can get up to like 5 or 6 special attacks back to back. Looping 3 special 3s in like the same sequence is something that you can't do in this game unless you're Namor.
Namor is one of the most interesting characters in the Marvel Universe. He's one of the oldest characters of Marvel. Even before Marvel was Marvel, Namor already existed. He's not a villain, he's not a hero. He's sometimes a villain, sometimes a hero. But the main reason to bring him, other than he's awesome and he's one of the main characters in the Marvel Universe, is the relationship with Sue. We've done invisibility before to a certain extent, but that's the quality that defines her powers. There's a lot of effects and the shaders to make her feel invisible, but we didn't want to make her truly invisible because you have to know where to punch if you're playing against her. So we had to tweak the shader in a way that it looks like they did in the comics. You can see where she is, nobody can see her, but you can see a little bit of the shade. And plus all the invisible force fields that she creates in the different shapes. She has, of course, the big bubble that she does. She's pretty powerful. And it's not only about becoming invisible for her anymore. Like, it's been a while that she's becoming more and more powerful in the comics, so we wanted to really represent that in the game. And also, not a lot of people know that, but she's a pretty good martial artist too. She's been learning with the Iron Fist, so she has a little bit of that in the moves that we created for her.
Invisible Woman's Big thing, as you can probably guess, is that she turns invisible. This was a mechanic that we first debuted with Hood, but for her we kind of pushed it to its limit. We really wanted her to be basically the best at being invisible in the game. Her other big thing is that she's got a passive force field on her. So this force field is going to be active at all times, even sort of while she's being struck, and then while it's up, whenever she takes damage from any source, the force field will take the damage instead. Invisible Woman has a few different ways of turning invisible. The big one is that when she dodges backwards, she can avoid attacks, and she won't take any damage. When she does this, she'll turn invisible at the same time, so it's kind of a quick dodge back, now you can't see me. When her force field finally drains, that's a big trigger for her to turn invisible. And then also, with her signature ability, she can turn invisible both at the start of the fight and then when she gets knocked down.
Contest of Champions is a Marvel Universe game, right? We always set ourselves to be a game that had the whole of the Marvel Universe in one place and fighting and going through adventures. And having a game without the Fantastic Four like that is not a complete game. As soon as we realized that we will have the Fantastic Four back, we wanted to do something special with them. Bringing Susan to the game, it brings us even closer to the big end that we have planned. And I think that the players will love it. I think we're doing something really cool in this story.